Happy GA Flashback Friday! Thank God it's Friday. This week has not been that bad. However, it's just been busy. And I think that it's just showing me like how much crazier my life is going to get. And I'm exhausted. Monster is the only thing saving this day. I am so tired, and the weeks ahead are only going to get worse. Like, now that I'm working, it's only going to get crazier. So I guess it's just getting my body like into the swing of doing things every day, because there was days where I just didn't have anything to do. Like, I'd sit at home and be bored because I would have nothing to do. And now I know that my days are going to be filled constantly with, do I have to work today? Am I going to get called into work today? Did someone call in sick? Do I have to go cover for somebody? Like, it's always going to be that unknown. Like, just because my day may appear like I have nothing to do doesn't mean it's going to work out that way. And I know that I'm going to be, when I do work this next week, I'm going to be really busy and just trying to learn everything and just get acquainted with everything that needs to go on. And Sunday is going to be crazy. I actually start work Sunday. I originally was supposed to start Monday, but now I'm starting Sunday. I'm going in Sunday night. We're doing like a complete floor reset and just getting everything out for fall. And I'll be there till like midnight at least. And then to turn around and go to work on Monday, and then I'm off Tuesday, and it's just, it's just nuts. Like, just trying to get my schedule, like, worked out and making sure the kids are taken care of, and they're where they're supposed to be, and if they need a babysitter, and when they don't need a babysitter, and when they have school, and when it's a half day. Jesus, take the wheel. It's just nuts. But I'm really excited about it, just because I'm the type of person who's, like, a get-up-and-go kind of person. I like to be motivated. I like to go do stuff. So I'm excited for my job, and I'm not excited for the lack of sleep that I'm going to continue to get. But it's okay. It's not a big deal. I have this last weekend, well, I have today and tomorrow, to kind of like decompress before I start just by jumping in with both feet on Sunday night and starting my job. So I'm really excited, but I'm just, like, getting my body used to it. Like, I'm excited. My body is not so much. But we're not here to talk about new schedules and jobs and whatever. We are here for GA Flashback Friday, where I recap a past episode of Ghost Adventures, and I am so excited because I love the episode we're recapping today, which is the Rolling Hills Asylum. It is so amazing for so many different reasons, all of which we are going to cover in today, and I'm going to get started because I'm just really excited. But as always, I like to give you guys a brief little history about the location. The Genesee County Farm, or otherwise known as Rolling Hills Asylum, was built in the 1820s, and it was originally a poorhouse. Now, back in the day, they used to have what they called poorhouses across the country, which would be homes to drunks, orphans, the criminally insane, people who just couldn't take care of themselves, mothers who were homeless and living on the street, and they would just kind of house them all together in one of these, what they call poorhouses, or these institutions where they were just treated like prisoners. I mean, they were just treated horribly. The conditions were atrocious. And you could be a mother who simply is young and has a baby and completely fine and be housed next to someone who's bashing your head into the wall and drooling. Because there was just no set, like, there was no order to it. There was no organization to it, like where the families lived here and the insane lived here. Like, today, you would never put someone who's mentally unstable in a house with someone who is a single mother living on the street willingly. Like, it wouldn't just happen. But that's what happened with these poorhouses like this. And when it essentially became kind of a drop-off for anybody who wasn't wanted or accepted or desired or couldn't take care of themselves. In the 1930s, it became a nursing home. It was a tuberculosis hospital for a while. It's kind of been like the catch-all, feel-all. Over 1,700 people are buried on the property in unmarked graves. 1,200 of those deaths are documented. They died in a variety of ways: murder, suicide, old age, disease. It's just the perfect breeding ground for all things paranormal and haunted. There is a power grid that is across the road from the sanatorium that could very well help supply the energy needed for these spirits to manifest to make this such an active location. There's also ley lines here, which we know kind of fuels and amps up paranormal activity as well. Now, they had a few things happen before lockdown. Nothing real crazy, but they did have a couple of EVPs, and they had just some heavy feelings in the air. They learned of two really powerful spirits that are at the location, one of which is named Raymond, and he actually was a person who lived there and would take girls down to the tunnels, the underground tunnels, and molest them and just do really nasty, evil things to them. Another person who is well known is a man named Roy, and he was a boy who came to live at Rolling Hills when he was 12 years old. He was the son of a prominent banker in the area, and he suffered from gigantism, which is the thyroid disorder that caused him to be really tall, and he was just really out of place in his world. He was not fit for the society that he was born into, so they kind of just dumped him off at Rolling Hills, and he lived there for about 50 years until he died. Another spirit is Nurse Emmy. She was a nurse at the facility who was really, really evil to patients, and she actually is known to touch men and kind of grope them and grab them. Aaron was a little excited about that, but it's still just overly creepy. A couple of cool things before I get into lockdown. Dave Schrader is on this episode, as we all know. Good old Dave is the host of Darkness Radio, which I absolutely love that show. He is a really, really well-respected paranormal investigator, and he's got years of credibility under his belt, and he has worked with the GAC on multiple occasions. He's really good friends with the guys, and he's just an overall amazing guy, and he was actually on this investigation for part of it with them, which is really cool, and we'll get into that a little bit later. And another thing that was really cool about this episode is before lockdown, the guys were like, I just feel like being in this location that's so active and so crazy that I need like an adrenaline rush. And Nick is like, well, we're close to Niagara Falls. He's like, what do you want to do? Go over it in a barrel? Like, we want to live, Nick. We don't want to, he's like, people do it all the time. Nobody's lived to tell about it. It's very rare. It's crazy. But they do end up going to Niagara Falls, and they get on one of the Whirlpool speedboats that they have there. And they're just having a really good time. And it was just really cool to see the guys kind of cut up and relax a little bit and have like that moment of fun before a really intense or potentially intense lockdown. And speaking of lockdown and going into lockdown, it was insane. Lockdown at Rolling Hills, though. Oh my God. It started right away. Like, there's no waiting. There's no, like, talking about it, thinking about it. They talked about where their exes were placed, which they placed their exes on the third floor, the second floor men's ward, which is where they see Roy and tons of shadow people. The organ room, which is where a satanic ritual was done back in 2004 by a coven that Nurse Emmy was believed to be a part of. And then the third floor hallway in Emmy's room is where they had their third ex. And this lockdown. Like, you can't break this lockdown enough to make it, because so much happened, like, we'd be here all day. So I just chose and selected a few of my favorite parts of lockdown. They had tons of EVPs. I mean, these EVPs are nuts, like absolutely insane. They got open up a little. They got a squeaking noise on the digital recorder that sounded like a chair being moved. Zach busted out the still camera, the infrared still camera, to capture some images because there's known to be tons of shadow people, and he actually got 2 pictures that are completely, amazingly full-on shadow people. Insane. They heard a scream that is well known. It's more than likely a residual scream because it kind of happens all the time. And it seems to be the same person. It's never different in frequency or different in sound, but it is a scream. And I actually heard that with my own ears on audio, but it was not captured on, it was captured on their digital recorder, but you heard it with your own ears. Following that scream, they got an EVP that said, "I'm here." The guys then all begin to like feel sick. They all begin to feel really heavy and kind of, disoriented. And then they get a door slam that they actually capture on camera. You can see the slam and it kind of bounce back and hear it. This place is no joke. So then they bring in Dave Schrader, and he brings in a device called the Shack Hack, which is essentially what we know now is the SB7 or the SB11, like a spirit box. It's kind of an earlier version of a spirit box. Same concept, runs over radio frequencies, a little bit bigger, has an antenna. Same concept though. And they get tons of activity with the Shack Hack. They get Let's Brawl, certainly when they ask them to sing. And then they get ones that are a little bit more sinister. They get ones that say Kill Zach, and they get Nick's name come through the Shack Hack as well. They get some more EVPs, get out of here, we can do it more. It's all in response to questions of wanting them to make themselves present, make themselves known. And there is some intelligent spirits at Rolling Hills, as well as what I think is residual energy. Like the screams and stuff I think they hear a lot are, I believe, residual. They hear them a lot. It's always an older woman. It's always on the same frequency. But there are intelligent spirits there because they are getting intelligent responses to their questions. They kind of wrap up lockdown with Aaron and Zach hearing footsteps, and then Aaron kind of got like a spider web feeling on his face, and then he thought he ran into a spider web. And then they get an EVP that says, "I just slapped you bitches." Really? Well, aren't you just a bucket of sunshine and rainbows? But what now they think is not what they thought was spider webs. Aaron was actually maybe feeling the spirit slapping him upside the head. They then split up into 3 different areas. Aaron goes to the Christmas room, which is this creepy ass room filled with all these dolls. Hell to the no, thank you. Not gonna happen. Where they believe that they are actually making contact with children, but it's so hard. And Dave makes a point earlier in the show that we all know that when you are dealing with child spirits, children can be manipulated very well and very easily. And I think in a place as sinister and as dark as Rolling Hills, you could be dealing with some children. I mean, there was tons of children that died there. It's just really hard for anybody, especially in the paranormal world, to think that children could be left behind, that they can't move on, they can't find peace, because they're children, they're innocent. So you always are on guard and worried that what you're dealing with may or may not actually be a child, but something a little bit more evil. But Aaron is in the Christmas room and gets an EVP that says help. Nick goes into the organ room, which is like where I said the coven had broken in to Rolling Hills and did a satanic ritual there, and he kind of set up candles in a circle and placed a digital recorder in the circle, and they get a really loud scream. This one's a little bit different than the one that Zach heard, so I believe that it could possibly be, this could be an intelligent scream, because once they get the scream, the candles on the light seem to flicker almost as if that scream came up from within that circle. He gets a few EVPs that says, "You come back here and let him in there," which is almost saying, let Nick, you get back in here, you come into the circle and you deal with it. Zach goes back into the tunnel to deal with Raymond, which is the man that molested the little girls down in the tunnel, and he's kind of taunting Zach, and he gets a few responses, one that says "damn you" and one that says "I claim everything here, okay?" And it was very clear and very sinister and very meaningful and forceful, and that kind of willed Zach to back up a little bit, and that's kind of where lockdown ended. They ended up in Estes Park, Colorado, doing another investigation at the Stanley Hotel, which we didn't know at the time, but we do now. And they had their pictures, the photographs, analyzed by someone there who is a paranormal investigator as well, and kind of does specialize in pictures and picture matrixing, and determined that the pictures Zach took were not matrixing. They were straight up apparitions, hands down, that they believed was the pictures of Roy, which other people have captured as well. like I said, overall, Rolling Hills, amazing. Bucket list. Like, there's places where I want to be that scared. Like, I want to go and experience that kind of stuff. It's such an active location. I think that so much happened in the short history that it was open and that it operated, and it was so tragic, and it was a tragic place anyway, and a lot of people died, unfortunate deaths. They died unexpectedly, and they weren't given proper burials, and they weren't given a proper goodbye, and now they are just pissed the F off, which I can't say that I blame them. But that is all I have for GA Flashback Friday. I will be back on Monday for GA Recap Monday, where I recap the newest episode of Ghost Adventures. Until then, stay happy, stay healthy, have a great, fantastic, amazing, wonderful weekend. Much love and happiness, guys. Bye.